Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video, we'll be taking a look at some of the updates that have happened recently on the Shadowlands beta. It looks like this week, we are still getting quite a lot of updates and pretty big swings in terms of balance tuning for a variety of classes and specs. In this video, we're going to cover some of the more important ones, but be sure to check out the details, as it looks like legendaries and certain abilities are getting buffed and nerfed. While it is personally exciting to see all these updates on the regular, we are getting closer to Shadowlands release. So I wonder if maybe that might be a good thing or a bad thing. Are they finally trying to figure out and finalize things, or are this more updates that are going to need more testing and tuning going forward? I guess only time will tell, but let's take a look at some of the updates we have had today. One of the big ones being a buff to enhancement. We'll talk about it later. First, this is going to be a small update on some of the items you may be able to use in dungeons and raids, as there's not going to be any war forging or titan forging going into the expansion of Shadowlands. A lot of players are going to need to find other ways in order to bolster themselves in order to tackle challenging content. Part of the reason why Blizzard brought so many more consumables into the PvE environment, from sharpening stones to weapon oils to even different patches to put on your armor to increase your armor, as well as a variety of more enchants, which is awesome. I'm a huge fan of being able to outfit my character. The bill for these things is definitely gonna rise up, but in this recent update, it would have actually had a nerf to one of those items, and that's going to be stamina kits. The stamina kits took quite a bit of a nerf going forward, and it looks like Blizzard doesn't want stamina kits to almost be required. I feel like if you're going to be doing endgame raiding or mythic pluses, you are going to need to get them, but the amount of stamina you can get from them prior might have been enough to overcome certain mechanics in terms of just raw health. So when you're doing that weekly mythic raid with your guild and you're pushing for bosses, you'll probably want to be head to toe outfitted with these stamina kits. But I think what Blizzard is trying to prevent here is from players that are trying to get their weekly 15s and 10s that are more on the casual side from feeling kind of pressured when you join on this regular 10 and they're like, okay, do you have your armor kits? And be like, no, and they get booted from groups because you're not head to toe in extra stamina. I think that's what they're trying to curb, but I could be wrong, but that's my interpretation of this change so far. We also got a kind of a decent change to Echo of Anar, as Blizzard is continuing to make it slightly better, slightly more usable legendary for a variety of players. I do wonder if Echo of Anar will end up being a legendary a variety of different classes and playstyles will end up using, because Blizzard has been regularly buffing this legendary and trying to kind of etch its power just a little bit higher week by week now, and I wonder if they are finally getting to a point where this legendary is actually considered by some players. This week we had a variety of different Soulbind updates, mostly minor unless you were planning to play Kyrian, where Pelagos took quite a bit of a nerf from the versatility buff. Now the versatility buff is going to last a little bit less long, and it's going to be a little bit more punishing if you are not able to constantly shuffle through your abilities as regularly. The versatility on it has also been nerfed slightly. As a rogue main, the Kyrian Pelagos has been one of the stronger options for us, so I wonder how this adjustment will end up changing the power struggle and the strength of certain conduits and soulbinds for rogues, as well as all the other classes. We saw a bit of a rework with the Demon Hunter Covenant ability for the Necrolords, where they want to kind of make Demon Hunters less of a kind of tied to the location of this splatter of green that shows up once you kill the demon. Instead, they are changing it so it has a bit of a damage reduction if you keep the enemy in the fodder to the flame, but are also reworking the haste bonus to just simply empower the soul that you get from consuming that demon's soul, to hopefully make this very mobility inspired class a little bit less tied to one spot, like as if you're rooted, in order to make fodder to the flame not be super punishing for movement, but does offer some sort of a defensive benefit if you use it in an interesting way. Marksman Hunter's got to change to the True Shot, which now increases your focus generation by 50% while active. This is because sometimes when you're using True Shot and you're trying to get all your abilities out, a good portion of True Shot you'll actually spend trying to regenerate focus in order to get your damage out, and it ends up being kind of a clunky playstyle. So hopefully this ends up smoothing out the burst rotation for Marksman Hunters when it comes to pressing your big button ability. Holy Paladins got a small buff to Dawn of Light. A lot of players, when it comes to Paladins, have actually commented, what is the purpose of this ability? It feels like it does nothing. So hopefully this buff is at least a step in the right direction in order to make it a little bit better. With last week's build, we actually had an update to the ability Dawn of Light and a legendary, how it functions with your mastery. So I wonder if we will see a combination of those two being used with this recent buff as something for a viable build for Holy Paladins going forward. We also got some changes to Shadow Priest, like Unholy Transfusion becoming a ranged ability instead of becoming an AoE Nova. This is good. Unholy Transfusion is the Necrolord ability for Shadow Priest, and I cannot wait to test it out for myself. There's probably going to be a video on me messing around with all the changes that happened to Shadow Priest recently. Also, Shadow Crash have had some of its damage and playstyle reverted back to the original, but now it has a bit more punch. And it looks like the Shadow Priest Best in Slot Legendary has just been buffed to proc more often, so pretty big update for Shadow Priest. We got a pretty small update when it comes to rogues. The Celerity Legendary for Outlaw, which is kind of a boring legendary. As long as you maintain Slashiness, you have a chance to make Adrenaline Rush pop, and Adrenaline Rush also increases your damage by an increased amount, has been nerfed recently. I wonder if we'll be able to run with a better legendary combo for more damage in the future, as well as a Vanish legendary that gives you some CDR and abilities has been buffed. Probably because the Night Fae rogue ability no longer forces you to vanish. With the recent update, it actually just gives you access to one stealth ability after its use. We got a variety of enhancement shaman updates, and there's definitely going to be a separate video on the channel for this one. But when it comes to enhancement shamans, there's a variety of things that got buffed. From a passive buff that's a core buff, to a bunch of talent tunings, to enhancement potentially actually gaining massive wolves that might actually do some real damage. The wolves for a while have been kind of just a buff that gave you either Maelstrom as a bar back in BFA or Maelstrom as a current stack. And it's been a bit since wolves have been really, they have a pretty big bark, but not really a bad bite. And I wonder if with this update, if that damage is drastically gonna change. Cannot wait to test out some enhancement shamans, as this one looks very interesting. And also the Fate Transfusion ability has been buffed for enhancement shaman as well. And then we got a really weird but a very small change to Warlocks. Shadow Bolt damage has been buffed by a little bit, which is kind of cool. It looks like it's mostly an Affliction / Demonology buff, unless you end up playing the Drain Life playstyle's Affliction. As well as the Talent of Dark Pact should be a little bit stronger, it should scale a little bit better off of your spell power. So maybe that talent might end up seeing more play in PvP or PvE, but who knows. Quite a lot of updates have happened here, and a massive one for Shaman. There's a lot of things for me to test, and I'll probably make a separate video on all the things that I found super interesting in this video. But this is going to be everything that we have so far. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.